Welcome to another episode of SpitBallin. I'm your host AJ, and alongside me, as always, is my co-host Christian. And on this episode, we will be talking about some of the major and minor contracts that were handed out in the NFL this past week. And then we will be moving on quickly to the NBA Finals, since last episode, Christian and I predicted that the Spurs, I believe, Christian, if you correct me if I'm wrong, you said that the Spurs would be 1-1 heading to MSG, and I said that they would be 2-0, right?
I did. I said that, and you said that. Yes.
So we were both wrong, as typical it seems, with some of the stuff we predict so far. The Knicks are up 2-0, heading back to Madison Square Garden tonight for Game 3 of the NBA Finals versus the San Antonio Spurs. We will get into what we believe that series will end up being later on in the episode. But as always, you can listen to SpitBallin most places you find podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under the handle at Pod Spitballin. That is at Pod, at POD Spitballin. So, jumping right into the NFL news this week, it's been a relatively quiet NFL week. Therefore, this will be a relatively shorter episode, as we are just covering some of the minor things that happened in the NFL this week, as well as the NBA Finals. To start, Nick Herbig with the Pittsburgh Steelers signs a 4-year, $100 million deal. And Darnell Washington of the Pittsburgh Steelers also signs a contract extension worth up to $40 million with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe these are two great contracts for the Steelers, handing out to guys that have been productive for them and just are young, and you don't want to lose these guys, especially, I believe, Nick Herbig. Nick Herbig has shown to be very productive when he gets playing time, and with the decline of TJ Watt last year and possibly retirement being in his future in the next couple years, and with Alex Highsmith typically getting injured most of the time during the season and missing a couple games, I believe locking down Herbig, and possibly this could now mean paying a guy, an edge rusher, $100 million over 4 years, that's starter money. That's not backup money anymore. So I do believe that there could be a change in edge rushing this year for Pittsburgh, and we could even maybe see Alex Highsmith or TJ Watt on the move before the season if they decide to go younger and fully start Nick Herbig. They do also have Jack Sawyer, so they could go for a full reset on the D-line with those two young guys sitting behind Watt and Highsmith. And then L'Jarius Sneed heads back to the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like everybody knew this was happening when he got waived by the Tennessee Titans. We reported on that in one of our earlier episodes, and I think Christian and I both predicted that he would go to KC. Kansas City did lose two of their best corners to the Los Angeles Rams, trading one of them and the other going there in free agency. So bring back Sneed after drafting Mansour Delane was just a great thing for the Chiefs. You now have a veteran that has been pretty good his whole career, who you hope can gain that step back that he lost while he was in Tennessee, with a familiar coach like Steve Spagnuolo, and also help mentor your young top draft pick in Mansour Delane. Christian, what do you think about the Steelers' moves, locking down their young talent in Darnell Washington and Nick Herbig for the next 4 years? And what do you think about the Chiefs getting back a familiar face to hopefully help get back to the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I mean, good moves from both teams. The only issue I have with the Steelers is I feel like both contracts were, I would say, a little overpaid a little bit. Darnell Washington, I feel like he's way more of a blocking tight end as more of like a pass catching tight end. So paying, I think, 4 years, 42, over 10 mil a year for a blocking tight end, not really the best way to use your money, but hey, it's down the line. It could be valuable. He could have a higher role. We don't know. Nick Herbig is an interesting one because when he plays, he's very good. I think I saw before he has like a 14% like quarterback pressure rate, which is insane for a backup edge rusher. But that's what he is. He's a backup edge rusher that the Steelers view as the future of the position. Like you said, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are getting older, and they view him as a centerpiece for their future. He's only 24 years old. But the problem is paying a backup edge rusher, he hasn't had full playing time yet, so we'll have to see how that works into the future. They're kind of just hoping that the 25, I think, million a year that they're paying him could be a bargain down the line. It just depends how he'll do, I guess. And L'Jarius Sneed, I mean, we all knew this was happening. I mean, after the disastrous tenure with Tennessee that was riddled with I'll say his play, I don't think dipped as much as people think it did. He was injured, I think 90% of the time he was there. He also had some off the field issues, which is his fault. But I don't see him being the stud he once was on Kansas City. But I mean, he fits their scheme. He fits what Steve Spagnuolo wants to do. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out.
Yeah, and as you said, I believe exactly L'Jarius Sneed could hopefully recover from those injuries and be not great again because he is up there in age now, but at least serviceable and be that mentor corner two, even to Mansour Delane if Mansour Delane can step up and be that cornerstone of their DB room. And then as well, yes, paying a backup tight end and backup linebacker that top dollar. We'll have to see what the Steelers are doing in that sense if they're looking to move on from Pat Fryermuth, even let's say, or Highsmith or Watt. Highsmith does have an out next year in his contract with the Steelers, would only be taking on 5.6 million in dead cap, but they'd be gaining 20 million, so it would be a net gain of 15. So it will be a very interesting thing with the Nick Herbig situation. As you said, having 14% pressure rate as a backup is insane, and I would love to see that kid start, as I think he could very much be a elite edge rusher in the NFL. And moving on now to the NBA Finals. As we said, it will be a relatively shorter episode football-wise, just because there really was not much besides those contract extensions that went on this past week. However, the NBA Finals did not go as Christian and I predicted. The Knicks are headed back to Madison Square Garden, as I said earlier, up 2-0 against the San Antonio Spurs. The city is behind them. The country, I feel like, is behind them. I feel like a lot of people just want to see them win at this point because it has just been such a fun, exciting story. So many storylines, too, where you look at a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who got traded from the team that drafted him while he was there, got called soft by a guy like Jimmy Butler, and is now a cornerstone of this Knicks team's finals run. And people have been saying, you look at that now, Jimmy Butler not getting a ring. He called Andrew Wiggins soft while he was in Minnesota as well. Wiggins ended up winning with Golden State, and now Cat might do it with the Knicks. So it's just a lot of that, like all-around moments. Jalen Brunson and his dad, Rick Brunson, now being a coach, being coached by his dad and playing for his dad. And his dad played for the Knicks the last time they were in the finals. They're the first ever father-son duo to both play in the finals for the same team. And just, it has been a whirlwind of emotions and excitement for Knick fans, and I think their team as well. So we'll see if they're able to really just take over this series and go up 3-0 tonight. I do believe this series might end in a sweep. I think heading back to the Garden up 2-0, all the excitement of the president being there tonight as well. There is just so much happening for the Knicks in a good, positive way that I would be shocked if San Antonio is able to overcome all the doubters and their doubt as well, probably having self-doubt after going down 2-0 at your own home stadium. Christian, what do you believe the series is going to be for the rest of the NBA Finals? And do you also agree that it might be a sweep? I don't want to say sweep 100%. I think it could go to 5 maybe, but I am leaning towards a sweep.
It's a mixed bag because, I mean, we were discussing this the other day, how I believe the Knicks, no, not the Spurs. I believe the Spurs, it's looking like they could very well still get swept, but I don't think they are as bad as being swept like sounds. Like normally when teams get swept in the finals or the playoffs, it's like, wow, they played really bad. I don't think the Spurs are that level of bad. I just think it's the fact that, I even said it on last episode, they're just incredibly young. And I feel like the adversity, at least in game one and the first half of game two, really got to them, even though they were at home. Them losing 2 games at home was huge. I saw it before. The Knicks are like the third team to ever sweep, I think, the first 2 like away games of the finals. The other 2 teams won. I don't know exactly who those teams are, but it's a good track record if you're a Knicks fan. But it's going to come down to if guys like Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox can step up. I believe the Spurs still have something in them. Game 2, they almost stole. The Knicks almost gave it away. The Knicks obviously pulled through. But I still believe the Spurs still have a fighting chance. I think they can still take one at the Garden. I don't know if it's going to be in game 3. Because like I said, that them being as young as they are, it might be just too much for them to handle. And at that point, it might be a sweep. You're right. But I believe that Wemby, second half of game 2, I think he scored like 20 of his 30 points. So I still believe the talent's there for them. They're still the youngest team to ever be in the finals. I'm not giving up hope on them yet, but like I said, the Knicks, I feel like they have way too much veteran presence to let the Spurs steal this. So I think the Knicks at this point are going to win.
Yeah, and I do agree with the point about them being too young. This team is very similar if you look at their big three being Stephon Castle, Wembanyama, and Dylan Harper. It's a exact parallel to Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden when they made it to the finals against the Miami Heat and were just too young and inexperienced to get it done. And I believe that's the same situation for the Spurs. Obviously, the Miami Heat being the big three of Bosh, LeBron, and Wade is not as similar to the Knicks being like a big three, but they are really honestly a big five in a sense where not every player is a superstar player, but they all work perfectly together and they have one of the best, in my opinion, starting fives in the NBA. And it's coached very well by Mike Brown, a coach who won Coach of the Year with the Kings, got thrown out by the Kings, and then now is going to possibly win an NBA Finals with the New York Knicks. It's, as I said, just a great story for so many people on the Knicks, and I think just all of that is just a perfect storm for them to go win this thing. And we'll have to see exactly if Wembanyama could go out there and score 30 again tonight. Game 3 will be at 8:30 tonight. We will be covering it on our next show next Monday. We are once again putting this out on a Tuesday just so that we could talk about the game the day of. And we also maybe thought there'd be some NFL news today, as there was a lot last Monday. However, there was not. Obviously, with June 1st being last Monday, that's why there was so much NFL news. But we will see if the Spurs and Knicks are even playing by next episode. It could be series over and the Knicks winning it. As you did say, though, there is a good track record for teams that go up 2-0. The last teams in the NBA Finals, though, to overcome a 2-0 deficit were the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016 when they came back against the Warriors super team, and the Milwaukee Bucks, which for Mikal Bridges, that would be two finals that where he was up 2-0. He's up 2-0 right now at the Knicks, and he was up 2-0 with the Suns, and Giannis and the Bucks came back down 2-0 and took that finals. So hopefully for the Knicks, as you said, the rest of it, though, most teams who go up 2-0, they finish the job. Those are only some outliers in the past, and they will be able to get the job done. But if not, if this finals goes to game 7 or it would have to go to game 6 at least. I mean, this is going to end up being one of the best finals we've seen in a while, because that would be a major feat for the Spurs. But as we said, I just don't think it's going to happen. They're too young, and we will have to see how tonight goes really to determine where the series will go. My prediction, though, is, as Christian said, this team is not like, if they do get swept, they were not so bad of like, oh wow, like they got swept because like they suck. That's why I think it'll be Knicks in 5. I think they win one game at MSG, and we see the Knicks finish the job in San Antonio for game 5. Christian, what is your final prediction for the NBA Finals, as next episode we might be talking about the finals recap?
I think they're too good of a team to not at least win a game. So I'm gonna say it's gonna go to 5. It's gonna be probably 4-1. I don't see them getting swept, but it's still very much a possibility.
So that is our prediction for this series. We both agree this time on Knicks in 5. We will see if we are correct next episode. And as we said, this was going to be a relatively shorter episode as there was not much NFL news, and to cover the NBA Finals is only covering one game. So we really can't cover that much besides the one game. So to end off the episode, we will be playing a fun game as it is a shorter episode. So as we do sometimes, we will end it with a game. And Christian will have to name who the leading wide receiver was in yards each year, starting in 2015 to the past season for the NFL. And to start, we'll head to 2015. Christian, who do you think led the NFL in receiving yards in 2015?
Okay. Let me think. Okay, because I brought up obviously the game. I brought it up before we even started. It's I'm trying to think if this was after Josh Gordon, or I know T.Y. Hilton's in there too. I'm gonna say 2015 though. I will say confidently it is probably Julio Jones.
It is Julio Jones. I was
Okay.
like, yeah, good
Now
guess.
I just have to figure out the T.Y. Hilton and Josh Gordon year. I don't know when that will be, but
So to 2016 then now.
Ooh. Is this one? Okay, well, it has to be one of them has to be AB. Is this an AB?
Not Antonio Brown.
Okay, so I think we're too late on Josh Gordon now. This one, it's either this one or next year's Ty. I'm gonna say Ty Hilton for this year.
This was T.Y. Hilton with
Okay.
1,400 yards with the Indianapolis Colts. A relatively, I would say, because I feel like most years it's 1,500, so not even a 1,500 yard season for
He
T.Y.
was
Hilton, but he
always underrated
led the
though.
league. Very underrated, I agree.
Always
He was great with the Colts, and didn't he have like a stint with Dallas where it just kind of never really panned out
underrated. He
anything
was
in
there for a
Dallas?
year, yeah.
Yeah. Well, heading to 2017, who do you believe was leading that year?
2017. Michael Thomas is later, so 27. It's either AB or Julio.
You got
I'm
to
gonna
choose one.
2017. This was before CTE. Still, I'm gonna say AB.
This was before he got CTE, and it was Antonio Brown with
I
1,533 yards.
think that was his last like not
That was
dominant.
his last. He was good because he was on the cover of Madden 19 with the Steelers. He was good up until because I think it was the year that he got traded to the Raiders, which was around 2019. So that's really when it all went off. Once he left the Steelers, is when it all went off the rails.
Okay, because 28 was 2018 the year where Juju had 1500, or was that 2019?
He never led the league in receiving, but yes, I think it was 2018 or 19 that
Okay,
Juju did
this
have.
was like the end of Antonio Brown. That's crazy. It was that long
This
ago.
was the end of Antonio Brown, though. Yes,
That's
this is the last
insane.
time he led the in his like best years. He led the league in receiving in 2014, and then also in 2017.
Okay, all right. What are we
So
on
now to
2018
2018.
now? Okay, this one has to be Julio.
Julio Jones was 1,677. Very good year out of Julio. Probably as well for him, probably one of his last prime years, if not the last. And then heading to 2019 now.
2019. This was ooh. Oh wait, no, Michael Thomas.
This is Michael Thomas, the slant boy year, but I never really cared for that like nickname. I mean, yeah, he ran the slant better than anybody else could and did very well because of it. So I think
That
that was a
nickname never made sense to me.
yeah, because it's like he's running a
Never
route
made
that he's good at. Like it's I don't know why people hated on it. He had 1,700 yards too, so you can't do that just running slants. So he did a lot more than run slants as well. But yeah, I mean, he does probably also too his last good year because it's almost as you said. It's kind of sad reading this list. It's just a bunch of receivers that heading into 2026 they are no longer that good. Heading
These are
to
the receivers we
2020,
grew up on, though, so it's crazy.
yeah, yeah, heading to 2020 now being one of those receivers as well.
2020. Ooh, was D Hop ever? I don't know if D Hop ever led the league because I think this was when he joined the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, DeAndre Hopkins is
Okay.
bad
I'm just
on
gonna
the
say
list.
D Hop. I don't know if he ever led the league at any point.
Was not DeAndre Hopkins. Never led the league in his whole career.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was in a. I mean, it was an era with Antonio Brown and Julio, so he's probably always just second fiddle.
This was the after Antonio Brown and Julio, though. So who was one of the first after? It wasn't Tay Adams was never.
No,
Oh
Devontae
wait,
Adams.
is
No,
this JJ's second year? Did JJ get it?
no, Justin Jefferson did not get it this year. This is the name that I'm actually surprised to see. I actually did not realize he led the league. I can give you, he had 1,535 yards. I did not realize that he ever led the league in receiving.
2020. So I'm not. This is not my guess. The year after 2021's Cooper Cup. So the year before.
Yes, 2021 was Cooper Cup, so I'll give you that. You already answered that one right.
I don't think Tyreek
Nine,
ever led the league up
I,
to
I
this
will say
point.
too, the Cooper Cup, skipping 2020 just for now, as you guessed Cup for next year already, 1,947 yards. That is
Yeah.
one of the most impressive seasons ever on this list, and obviously that's why he had the Triple Crown that year.
So I said Tay. It's not Tay. It's not JJ. It's not D Hop. It's not. I know it's not. I know it's not Tyreek. Who was? Oh wait, was this his second year in Buffalo or first year in Buffalo? Is this Diggs?
This is Stefan Diggs in Buffalo.
Okay.
And yeah, I was surprised to also see him. That's why I'm not shocked that you did not get it right away. I'm surprised to see him on the list. And he was elite, though, in Buffalo for those couple seasons he was there with Josh Allen. So now heading to 2022, as you guessed, Cup already in 21. And 2022, the player, I'll give you the yards now just to start, had 1,809 yards.
Oh, JJ.
This is Justin Jefferson's first time leading, and actually only time in his career so far, leading the league in receiving. And moving on now to 2023, this receiver had 1,799 yards.
Yeah, but when the Cooper Cup thing, I think actually when the Cooper Cup like 1900 start, I think every year since then it's been like over 1700. I think it's been like
Yes,
insane.
Since then, there's not been a receiver with under 1,700.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the extra game, these guys are so elite that
Yeah,
it helps. So JJ, the year after, was it Jamar?
not Jamar.
I know Jamar. Okay, so Jamar had to be the year after then. So this is, oh my God, what year are we? 2023?
2023.
Oh no, it's not Jamar. It's not. Is it JJ again? Did JJ lead it twice?
JJ has only led the league in receiving once so
Oh,
far.
this is terrible. Oh, this was the first year, Tyreek.
This was Tyreek. When you said that you didn't think he ever did it, this was the year he did do it
I think this was
in
Miami's.
Miami as well, which is pretty surprising that when you look at it, I guess there was just so many mouths to feed on that Kansas City team. But Tua, I mean, a lot of people always criticize him, did have a league leader wide receiver, so he had to be
To
a
be fair,
decent
Tua
quarterback.
fed him the first year. Fed
Yeah,
him.
so yeah.
So
Then
2024 has to be Jamar.
2024 is Jamar. He had 1,708 yards. And then this previous season, I believe you will know the answer, with
JSM.
1,793 yards. Who led in 2025?
It's JSM.
JSN does round out the list.
Ooh, that was a
And
little rough.
yeah, it's very shocking to see exactly what you said. With that extra game added, yeah, not a single receiver since then has had under 1,700. We'll see if anybody ever comes close. Obviously, Calvin Johnson having the record of 1,964 in 2012. Cooper Kupp was very close at 1,947. My opinion, though, is we'll see if anybody ever eclipses 2,000. I think it will happen with the way that passing is just so evolved nowadays and used
I think
way
if
more
Joe
than the
Burrow
run
stays,
game.
Jamar could do it.
I agree exactly. A guy like Jamar and Joe Burrow, just that QB. You need the QB receiver duo to both be elite to get it done. And yeah, that's a perfect example of, I think, a duo that could definitely get it done. And then to round out the episode, as we always do, I will be leaving you with one last spitball this year. I will say, I believe that we will see, I'm going to say A.J. Brown lead the NFL in receiving next year with his new, almost last year's MVP quarterback, Drake May. I believe A.J. Brown is an elite talent who just was great when he was in Tennessee, was great when he was in Philly until they got Saquon, where then they became a very run-centric, run-heavy offense. I believe in an offense with Mike Vrabel where he had the best years of his career in Tennessee. We will see A.J. Brown, I think, lead the league in receiving next year. Christian, who do you think will lead the league in receiving next year?
I think AJ Brown's a really good guess. I mean, first year receivers always get fed. I'll say, I'm going to go off what I just said. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, I think Jamar.
So those are our predictions and last spitballs for this episode of who will lead the league in receiving next year. As always, you can find us on social media under the handle at Pod SpitBallin, and you could listen weekly to the SpitBallin podcast, places where you typically find your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And as always, everybody, keep spitballing.